I want to acknowledge that we did receive the request, and as I've said in the past, when we received the request, it would be reviewed by our legal department, and it is our intent to follow the law, and that is in the process of being reviewed. Now, in regards to your specific question,
so let me interject. I apologize. What part are they reviewing, whether or not, or whether your office should be the one that makes the ultimate decision? Are they reviewing whether or not you should make that decision as well, sir?
it would be premature for me to comment specifically what they are reviewing on or what they're not reviewing on. But I would highlight, okay, I think, as you know, the law calls for a request to me. As you've said, there is a tradition of delegating certain responsibilities. I would just comment that it is my responsibility to supervise the commissioner. But again, I think it would be premature at this point to make any specific comments other than, as I've been consistent before in saying, it is being reviewed by the legal departments, and we look forward to responding to the letter. Well,
in case they're curious, we can reference Treasury Order 150-10 and Section 6103, which talks about the disclosure to committees of Congress on these points. And we go back, that was April 22nd, 1982. The previous order dates back to St. Patrick's Day, 1955. So it would seem that the matters of who makes the decision is pretty clear. My concern is that we're going to get past that point, and the decision as to whether to pass these on will have already been made. But let me ask you, in the meantime, the White House Chief of Staff made his thoughts on this pretty clear. Have you spoken to the White House Chief of Staff or the President about this decision?
I have not spoken to the White House Chief of Staff or the President about this decision.
Has anyone from the White House talked to you about this decision?
To me personally, or to other people within my
department?
Well,
you personally first, and to other people second.
I have not had any conversations with anybody in the White House about this issue
personally. Any communication?
I personally have not had any communication with anybody in the White House, although I want to be specific, that relates to me and not everybody at Treasury.
Okay. So, to your knowledge, has anybody in the administration communicated with anybody in your office about this decision?
Our legal department has had conversations prior to receiving the letter with the White House General Counsel.
And did they brief you as to the contents of that communication?
They have not briefed me to the contents of that communication. I believe that was purely informational.
You believe what was purely informational?
I believe that the communication between our legal department and the White House General Counsel was informational, that we obviously had read in the press that we were expecting this.
So they communicated just to say expect this, or did they talk about their views in any way, shape, or form as to how you should
respond?
Again,
Mr. Chairman, I want to be clear. I personally wasn't involved in those conversations. Again, I want to be very clear and not be misleading. I acknowledge that there were conversations. I am not briefed on the full extent of those conversations. And I would also just comment, those have been prior to us receiving the notice.
Yeah, because they saw the handwriting on the wall.
I think, as you know, it was widely advertised in the press beforehand, so this wasn't exactly a state secret that we thought we'd be getting it.
I think this committee would like to know if in those communications the White House expressed their desire to you or anybody else at Treasury what their views or how you should act on this matter. So if you could pass that on, sir, we would greatly appreciate it. I'll pass on to Mr. Graves now.